Good night, how everyone doing? God is good and God is good all the time. This continue on. I had difficulty with my equipment. Um, this is Egyptian. Say this the Israelite crossing over the Red Sea. Now we left off that we see trouble. When trouble hit, you know, they will want to go back when it comes to bread. Lack of faith in God. But yet how often we do the same thing also. They saw that the power of God used, but get anxiety. Now we all do that. We see God get us out of situation. You know, we see the work of power work, but then soon a situation hit, we all panic. That's the Israelite. This are all the power that God was doing in Egypt. We're trying to make Pharaoh change his mind and let them go. They saw the power of God. You know, and we see the power, that God will deliver us, help us with this situation, that situation. But when trouble come again, we panic. Moses had answers of people, do not be afraid. Stand firm and you will see the deliverance. The Lord will bring you on today. The Egyptian. You see today, your enemy that you see today, you will never see again. See, there was panic. For 400 years, there was being enslaved. Pharaoh men was oppressing them. They just, for then, all of a sudden, you free. You going to your promised land. But then you turn around, you see them same people that oppress you. And then they panicked. They was terrified. So Moses had to tell them, don't be afraid, stand firm. You will see the deliverance that God will bring you on today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but on today. And so Moses was encouraged them, to stand firm and don't be afraid. Fear not. The unfortunate Egyptians, Moses tell them to stand and watch the victory the Lord will accomplish. Now he told them, don't be afraid. He said, stand firm, and you just watch. You just watch God fight and accomplish this here. Just watch. You will watch the victory that God will accomplish on today. Not tomorrow, today. The Lord will fight for you, and you need only to be still. He needs the Israelites to be still. They crying and whooping and hollering and talking among themselves. Well, we should have, look at all this here we got. Be still. Be still. Just get your popcorns and TV and you just be still and watch the victory God will bring. Don't worry about the Egyptians coming behind you. Don't worry about your enemies that coming behind you. Just watch God deliver. So Moses had to tell them, but Moses encouraged them. He said, watch and see the wonderful way that God will rescue y'all. Moses had positive attitude, and it may look like your back is against the wall. But Moses, God will fight for you. He told him, God will fight for you. And he said, just watch. Just watch. Y'all just calm down. Be still. Stand firm. And watch the deliverance God will give you. Now Moses had cried out to God. Now he did all this encouragement, to the Israelites. Did all this encouragement. And then he gonna cry out to God. He cried out to God. And God said, raise your staff, Moses. Stretch out your hand over the Red Sea. Divide the water so that the Israelite can go on dry ground. And so he crying out, and God give him instruction, to do, for them to walk on dry grounds. That God designed not only to deliver the Israelite, but to destroy the Egyptians. In the plan of his counselor in a cult. Now see, why they was in slavery for 400 years, God not just ignore them. God was watching. God was watching how they was handling his people. That's why he's stepping forward. He said he gonna fight for you. I saw how they was oppressing you. I saw how y'all was carrying them bricks. I saw when your lady was pregnant and they giving you a hard leg. I saw how they was treating you. So that's why I said you done did your suffering and everything. Just stay still. Okay, I got y'all. You just watch the victory. And so Moses cried out and God told him what to do, to give them, the chance to walk on dry ground. Now God designed not only to deliver the Israelites, but to destroy the Egyptians. Because he watched them. He watched them. Had them ladies picking up bricks while they was pregnant because he wanted to kill all the babies. They gave them hard labor. God saw all that. So I will harden the heart of the Egyptians so that they would go after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army and through the carriers and his horsemen. All of them. God gonna get all of them. In other words, they shall have no sense of danger. He telling the Israelites, you don't need to have no sense of danger. Be fearless. Nah. He telling the Israelite, be fearless. You ain't gonna have no danger come to you. Don't be sad. I know what went on 400 years. I got you now. You just be still. Be fearless. You're not in danger. So the Egyptian would know that, that I am the Lord. And when I gain glory through the Pharaoh and his carriers and all his herdsmen and everything, they will see who I am. God said, they're going to see who I am. They don't know who he is now. I am the Lord. And after all this is said and done, they will know. Now, he will let them know who he is. I am the Lord that will deliver you. So then Moses had stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it over to dry land. See, God using his power. The water in dividing. Now God using the power, dividing the water. Moses just, all you got to do to swing this here. And God is doing the rest. God going to make that water into dry ground so they can walk across that water. And seemed like there was no way out. Oh, they know, they saw. They saw they just, oh no, we ain't got no way out of this here. All this here is Red Sea. God did that on purpose to take him to that day end. God know they had no way out. He wanted to get the Egyptians to the Red Sea. So they seem like there's no way out. We can't go nowhere. All this here is water. And so it seemed like there's no way out. But the Lord opened up dry path, through the sea. Now, sometimes we find ourselves caught in a problem. We think it's a big problem to us, and see ourselves, there was no way out. So there was no way out. They're at the end by the Red Sea. What can they go? Where can they go? God would do it like that so it can be just you and me. And so God had them at a dead end. They went to a dead end. You can't go left, you can't go right, and you can't go cross unless God use his power. And so know that this seemed like there had no way out, and God found a way. See, God already knew a way before they got to the Red Sea. See, when God pursues something, when he tell you to do something, he already had a plan for it. He had a beginning to the end. He about the Red Sea. He had the beginning of the Red Sea. The beginning to the end. He already know. How he gonna get just in there, how he was gonna split the water open and put it back. All that was in God's plan. God don't do nothing at the last minute. So the Israelites had went through the sea on dry ground. That was power. It's just an army and threw into the confusion. Now see, God, he'll throw you in confusion. But throw them in confusion, taking their wheel, all jam up their wheel, so they all was flipping and flopping, difficult driving. It just had said, let's get away from here. They saw all that. Everything falling apart. Their wheel is tripping, they're flipping over, jamming up and running to this and that. They say, oh no, they got God fighting for them. Let's get out of here. God is fighting for them. We got stuff flipping all over and everything. So the Lord said to Moses, stress out, hurry up, because they're trying to run. And God got to get his glory. Ain't no running. God said, Moses, stress out that red hand over that Red Sea, that the water will flow back so the Egyptian can fall in. So they're trying to run, because they got scared. They're seeing all kind of stuff going on, and we don't see nobody. Nobody not attacking them. They can't see God. God's a spirit. So everything just flipping all around, but they don't see nobody attacking them. That's why they say, we got to get out of here. God is fighting for Israelite. God fight for them. We got to get out of here. So God told Moses to hurry up and open that water back up. They ain't going nowhere. Open that water back up. So he opened that water up. And God told Moses to open the water up. There was no evidence of this great Exodus had been discovered, in the Egyptian history. So the Lord said to Moses to open open that water back up, so the water flow back in place. Cover the carriers and the Egyptians and the horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh, that had followed the Israelite into the sea. There was no survivors, And so that's what God said. That's what God had told the Israelite. Don't cry. Don't fear. Just stand firm and you just watch. I told you I was going to take care of it. God took care of all the Egyptians that was behind the Israelite. Put them all under the Red Sea. Not one survived. Just like God said. Watch. Watch how you deal with your Egyptian. Not one of them survived. Demonstrate his great power, in love for his people. The Israelite, his people, his chosen people. And so he told them to fear not and trust God. That go for me too, and anybody else. Because see, they had trouble came. They want to go back, so a lot of us, been in a stone for a long time, and sometimes we get comfortable. That's why I'm trying to walk into mine, because I don't want to get comfortable, because I don't want to settle. Some people can get comfortable like Lot and his wife. They got comfortable, where they was at. You can get comfortable where you at, but God don't want you settled. God wants you to get out. Because that's not what he wants you at. God wants better for us, and a lot of times we have to leave a lot of stuff behind. And so God told them to don't fear, trust him. For me to let go and let God fight my battle. And we see how he did for the Israelite. It's about time to let go and let go. So that day, the Lord has saved the Israelite, from the hand of the Egyptian. And Israel saw the Egyptian lying dead bodies by the shore. God has said, you will not see the Egyptian no more. And he meant that. He see, they see all the bodies, dead bodies laying by the shore. Not one of them survived. Not one of them is playing with the water, opening their eye. Not one. And he told them you wasn't going to see them no more. The Israelites standing upon the sea. upon the Red Sea and saw the dead bodies of the Egyptians. So their bodies, were false of water. They died with the water. God just beat them up with the water. And that's how they died. Flip their wheel and jam up their tire and everything else. God had did a number on them until they was confused. They was confused. They know what to do. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord, display against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him. That was the whole thing. And Moses, his servants. That was the whole thing. God wanted glory. But at the same time, he wanted his people, the Egyptian, he wanted them to fear him and trust him. So now they do. Okay, I fear God. I trust him now. I trust him now because I see all these dead bodies among the shore. He said we weren't going to see, we weren't going to see them no more. Not one of them survived. And they see that land on the Red Sea. So that's like God did all this here. I fear God. I fear God. I trust God. And that's what God wants. He didn't want this on a glory. God want us to get closer to him. He wants us to get closer to him. That's the main important thing. That's why he have us as prophets and missionaries to talk to people, and talk to people about God. Talk to people about God. He wants to bring people closer to him. That's more important than the history and everything else. Bringing people closer to him. And that's what he did. This whole event. So now, I fear God. Now I trust God. So we see that God got glory, and God got history. This man history, So even the Egyptians know that God was fighting for them. Even they know, that God was fighting for the Israelites. They want to turn around. We got to get out of this here. God, they got God fighting for them. Our tire getting stuck and flip all over. We don't see nobody fighting us and flipping the thing off. That's God doing that. We got to get out of here. They wanted to get out of there. They know that God was fighting for Israel. So also they wanted people to fear, him, and they do. They did. They did. And they said, we trust him. We trust God. And that's the whole story, and all the Egyptians was under that Red Sea. Under that Red Sea. All the enemy was under that Red Sea. God has said, you will not see the Egyptians no more. So fear not and just stand still. Because they was crying. They want to go back to Pharaoh. They want to go back to Pharaoh, who was treating them like slaves and told them bricks and all this kind of stuff. They want to go back to Pharaoh. Even though they had hard labor, they was worrying about they was eating 3 times a day. So they're going to be whining in the wilderness about food and water, but God going to have food dropping off from heaven. They ought to be glad that God took them out of their environment, and taking them to their own land where nobody shouldn't be over them. So that's the story. That the Egyptians had oppressed Israel for 400 years. But finally they got free. But God told them to go another route because God was gonna harden Pharaoh's heart to go after them. Because God had waited this long time. For his plan. This plan had been written for a long time. He didn't want them to just get out and then that's it. God had to get his glory. He had the heart and Pharaoh's heart, to go after them. And that's why he took them to the Red Sea at a day end. Where when trouble comes, God don't need them to try to escape and go back. So now their back was against the wall, they couldn't run nowhere. God wanted them to depend. God wants us to depend on Him when we in a situation. If they went the other way, they would have ran back by Pharaoh instead of leaning on God. See, by the Red Sea, their back was against the wall. There's no way out. They had no choice but to depend on God. And see, sometimes God will take us in a jam. He will take us in a corner. Like we don't have no way out of this situation. And sometimes God do that on purpose because He wants us to lean on Him, for help. And so that's what He wanted for the Israelites. He knew they was going to want to go back home. Go back to Pharaoh. He wanted to take them to a day end, where nobody but God can get you out of that situation. And see, that's what God wants. That's why a lot of the time our back is against the wall. We think our back is against the wall. There's no way out. And sometimes God fixes that way for nobody but Him can get you out of it. So God, when God had told them to don't worry, He told them to sit back and watch God do it. So that's all I have for you tonight. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.